I spent the last month learning to tripod pass like Jozef Chen, and I did it all without drilling a single technique. In this video, I'll cover some of the games I used to learn the tripod pass, as well as sharing some of my takeaways afterward. The idea behind the tripod is to pin our opponent's upper body with heavy pressure from our head and shoulder. Keeping the weight distribution heavy up top makes the legs light, allowing the top player to float over or around the legs. Less weight on the legs also means that attempts to sweep from the guard player will be less effective. The benefit to this position is that while our opponent's upper body is pinned, they aren't able to frame while we get past the legs since we're already chest to chest. After watching through footage of Jozef in competition, training, and eventually his tripod passing instructional, I've broken the tripod system into three main categories: the entrance, the maintenance, and the actual passing itself. And Jozef actually breaks this down the exact same way in his tripod passing instructional. So based off these three phases, let's get into the games that I came up with to develop the tripod pass.
But now, because I can maybe pin this to your body,
this is nice.
Pin this to the mat,
God, yeah.
and so on, I feel like it gives me a lot of an advantage.
Jozef uses the wrist pin to clear frames, putting his weight behind it and using his opponent's body or the mat to reinforce the weak side of his grip. In this game, the top player's objective is simply to pin the wrists of the guard player and maintain it as long as possible while the bottom player works to get their frames back. With the wrist pinned and the frames cleared, the guard player is vulnerable, making it easier to close the distance with the upper body and establish a chest-to-chest position. This isn't necessarily part of the tripod passing, but it's something Jozef does a lot, and it helps initiate the grip fight to clear the frames of his opponent. This game helped me develop a different perspective to grip fighting while guard passing. The act of pinning the wrists and always looking to take away space from the guard player keeps them in a defensive mindset and buys you time to progress your pass. In the context of tripod passing, this pairs well with the next game, which will allow us easier entry into the tripod position.
It's that little left hook in. It's that little left hook in.
The goal for this game was to force a seated guard player into the tripod position so we can force conditions into our favor. The top player's goal was to enter the tripod position, pinning the head and shoulders of the seated guard player with their own head on one side and an underhook on the other. Use your head to close the distance and crowd their space, off balancing them to get them to their back. Keeping the head low prevents wrestle-ups and keeps your legs safe from leg entanglements. The bottom player must stay off their back, maintaining space from the top player with their feet and hips in order to remain seated or stand. This game helped in developing the ability to close the initial distance between the seated guard player. It puts them in a vulnerable V-sit-like position where it's easy to get them on their back when off balance.
That near underhook, that allows him to keep this position right here. He should mount, he may mount right there. That's all about that left underhook there in that position. That's why he can get his head so high.
This next game is similar to the previous one, but now starting from a headquarters position. The top player must shift their weight into the tripod position from headquarters with the head on one side and underhook on the other, without the bottom player shifting their hips back and sitting up. The bottom player is just looking to sit up and keep the top player off their chest. This game is helpful in building the ability to chain different forms of passing by transitioning in and out of the tripod. Shifting our weight from headquarters to the tripod allows us to immobilize the guard player's upper body, while shifting our weight from the tripod to the headquarters position allows us to maintain top control even after the guard player off balances us and gets our head and shoulders off their chest. It's really easy to lose your balance from the tripod position if your weight distribution is off. So in this game, the top player's objective is to maintain the tripod position with the head block on one side and the underhook on the other, pinning the bottom player's head and shoulders. Focus on keeping the weight heavy on your head and shoulders and the legs light to avoid getting swept. The bottom player's objective is to return to a seated guard. Use the feet and legs to shift the top player's weight off the upper body. This game helped with finding my balance and learning to float on top whenever the guard player would try to off balance me. Learning to stay in this position for longer helped me find the optimal weight distribution to keep pressure on the head and shoulders without falling over. Sometimes the high tripod position is lost when the guard player shifts you forward with butterfly hooks. Dropping the hips down into the half butterfly position helps immobilize the lower body and chain into other forms of passing. In this game, the top player's objective is just to maintain the top half butterfly position for as long as possible. The guard player is looking to get the second knee in front of the top player's hips to get the butterfly hook back, sit up, or reverse the position. I struggled with this game the most. As you can see, most of the clips are of me losing position. I think the key with holding the half butterfly and tripod position is not to hold it at all, but rather float over the resistance rather than muscle it and try to hold the person down. Being fluid with our weight distribution allows us to switch between hips high on the tripod pin to dropping the hips low with the weight heavy on the hips and legs to maintain top position for longer. single butterfly hook is really all that's stopping us here. This game was for the top player to get over or around the half butterfly hook. Focus on controlling the butterfly hook to separate the knee from the elbow, or to crush the knee to their chest and take away space. The guard player had the same objectives as the previous game. Get the second butterfly hook back, sit up, or reverse the position. Because your hips naturally hold more weight in this position, my instinct was to drop my hips low and keep it heavy as possible like a body lock pass, rather than float on top every time my training partner elevated me with a butterfly hook. It took me a while to break this instinct, but now it feels more natural to keep some weight heavier on my upper body to quickly switch to a tripod when that happens.
Well, now he's got an underhook. That near underhook, that allows him to keep this position right here. He's got that far side underhook. His head is on the mat, and he can use his left hand to actually just push down the legs, pummel the legs.
Judges favor.
That's all from
blue.
All the previous games were meant to build the skills required to finally pass from this point. In this game, the top player starts in the tripod pin with the head post on one side and underhook on the other. The legs can be in a headquarters position, or the guard player can start with double butterflies. The objective is to get over or around the butterfly hooks from the bottom player while maintaining the upper body pin. Focus on separating the knees from the elbows or smashing both knees together. Bottom player's objective is to return to a seated guard or reverse the position. Focus on pushing the top player off with the feet and legs to get the top player off of their upper body. Once I understood how to distribute my weight properly, the tripod came very naturally to me. After spending the last 3 years developing my leg riding and pinning, I found it instinctual to smash the knees together any chance I got, which made it easy to get past the legs from here. Here are some more technical notes that may help you in your tripod passing. Walking the feet towards the head helps get the hips high and keep pressure on the guard player's upper body. Next, as with any guard pass, we want to break the elbow and knee connection of our partner, but by keeping our own elbows and knees connected from the top, this helps us maintain the tripod position and effectively distribute our weight onto their chest. And finally, keeping the head and shoulders low means less distance to be covered when getting chest to chest after passing the legs. So even if you switch away from the tripod pass, having the head and shoulders low crowds the guard player's space, taking away their ability to control the inside position. The biggest takeaway after learning the tripod pass was really just becoming more versatile in how I attack the guard. Before, I would stick to pretty much just body lock passing and outside passing, which is fine, but I didn't really have an answer for when my opponent would defend and regard. I kind of would just reset myself and start over rather than continuing to attack from whatever position I found myself in. So the tripod pass has kind of allowed me to put the pieces together and see that I can still continue to attack if my weight's shifted in a way that isn't in the body lock position, especially with, and I think they pair well together, because if I have my weight up high with the tripod pass and I get shifted forward, I can immediately drop down and continue passing with a body lock pass, or I could get back up to my feet and start passing with some outside passing. And so they all have been pairing really well together for me, and I've been able to chain all of them together and just kind of keep the pressure moving with all three of those. So the main takeaway was really just being able to piece together all my different attacks and chain my guard passing, really. So let me know what you think about the games and the tripod pass in general. It took me a little longer to make this video than I care to admit, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're looking to get started using the constraint limit approach in your practices, but you're not sure where to start, I've created a document with over 30 live games that I personally created and tested that you can plug and play immediately into your next training session. So if you're interested in that, go check the link in the description. But other than that, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. All right, Dookie, you gonna be in the video? I spent the last month